Hey, it's Tuesday night. Lenny Schmidt back on a cruise ship. It's time for Total Schmidt Show. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to Total Schmidt Show this week. Look, I'm back at sea. I am in Nassau, Bahamas, and if you look behind me, this is essentially a parking lot of cruise ships. Look as far back as you can see. There's at least 6-7 ships in port today. There's the, like there you can see Carnival one way back there, Disney. Right next to me is the Carnival Freedom. Then behind us is another ship over that way, over this way, over that way. There's ships everywhere. So, but I didn't get off the ship. I stayed to edit video. To edit this episode with my good friend Jimmy Denning. I was thrilled to interview him for this show. He's a great, amazing entertainer. We'll get to that in just a second. If you're watching the show on YouTube, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, please. Like the channel, subscribe to the channel. Those things help me a ton. If you want to follow us on social media, look above me. There's little buttons and stuff and information where you can follow us. It's Mr. Lenny Schmidt everywhere you go. That's how you can follow me on the show. Mr. Lenny Schmidt, go to Insta, all that good stuff, and you can find me there. Follow me, subscribe to me. Go to the website, it's the simplest thing. Go to lennyschmidt.com. You can even support us financially. If you go to the Pay If You Can button up top, they're making announcements behind me, so this is going to get loud and weird. Jimmy Denning is an amazing entertainer. I actually worked with his mom on a cruise ship. She's a cruise director, and met his dad, also named Jimmy, an entertainer. He's from Scotland. His mom's from England. Jimmy's from England, but lives in Vegas. There's a lot going on here. But the stories he tells are classic old school actually more traveling entertainer stories. They're pretty cool. Some cool stuff about David Hasslehoff. Some cool stuff that happened when he was in Germany. He's a great performer, great entertainer, and he put on a great show, and it was a great conversation. I was glad to get him. We had a short window, and we got it done. Folks, sit back and enjoy my conversation with the one and only Jimmy Denning.
Also made it into a television show that we do in the UK every Christmas, and I think it's called 50 Most Cringeworthy Celebrity Moments.
Okay.
So in the first half of David Hasslehoff's show, he wanted to do a section from the producers because he did that show on Broadway. Okay. So about 10 minutes before we go on to a packed house at the O2 in London, he says to us, guys, can you just sort of do like a dance routine behind me, like from the producers, like that's how easy it is. Yeah. So we're just like, I think we were drunk, and we were just like, so this is so bizarre. Yeah. And then just before we go on, his assistant Nick, who's still a great mate of mine, he came over and he gave us swastika armbands to put on. And of course you're all going, I'm not putting that on. Are you mad? And he's going, no, but David wants it. Because David's now dressed as Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, that's the... Yeah.
But out of context, the show makes no sense.
Right.
So he's doing the Springtime for Hitler song. So we're now in the wings. I'm in my kilt. We've got leathers, we've got chains, everyone's got tattoos. Everyone's like kind of rock star kind of outfits. And now with that mixed in with a swastika armband. Right. Coming on, giving it Zeke Kyle behind David Hasslehoff. It was the most bizarre thing, but it made it into these most cringy celebrity moments. So that night, literally, so pivotal to our careers for good and bad reasons, if you get what I mean. So it was quite a start to the show, to the band becoming something, you know.
Dude, I've never seen that. I gotta look that up.
It's on YouTube.
It's gotta be.
It's on YouTube. It's the most cringy thing. And so that same gig, we were so desperate to do stuff, and like I said, it was so bizarre. We kept slapping each other in the face, going, "This is the most bizarre thing I think that's ever happened to anybody." But he also said, a couple of days before we did the gig, he said, "I was going to sing the Baywatch theme in the second half of his show.
Oh, right on. Okay, yeah.
But because of course that wasn't him that was singing it. That was Jimmy Jameson, who's the lead singer of Survivor.
Okay.
He sang that, and
Oh,
he's
did he
obviously
really?
a devastating voice.
I
Like,
didn't
I
know that.
think it's
Right.
Jimmy Jameson.
Yeah.
And of course, it's the some people stand in the darkness. So he heard us doing it. Yet again, went no, I'll just do it. I'll just do it. And they took it down some keys and stuff. But he said, what would be great is if we open the second half. He said, do you guys know the Knight Rider theme? And we're all looking at each other going, what? I said, yes, of course we know the Knight Rider theme. He went, could you do like an a cappella thing? And we went, we're a rock vocal group. We're not like a beatbox group. I said, anyway, it'd be really cool. So at this point, we're in for a penny and for a pound.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah,
So about a couple of days before, we phoned a friend of ours that runs a famous gay club in London, and it was the only space that we could afford. And he said, just have the room during the day. And we go into the club, and we can't start because we're laughing so hard. And he says, we go, right, okay, why don't one of you, Gareth, you go ba-dun, 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 ba-dun. And they're going, great. And then Jim, you go and then one of the other lads just comes out of nowhere and goes ba-ba-ba-doo, ba-ba-ba-doo. And we're fucking killing ourselves laughing, going, this is like, I think about in our group, you know, Johnny, who's would normally be with us here, but he's off doing a private show. John was like Jean Valjean in Les Mis, like in the original production of Les Mis. He's like a big deal. Yeah. And there's some of the things that we're all privileged to have done. I've performed for the Queen, and we've performed for presidents, and you've opened megastar musicals, and now we're in the basement of a gay club doing a kind of beatbox hip hop version of the Knight Rider theme to open for David Hasslehoff's second half. And I shit you not, we were like, I can't do it. So we did it, and we was like, boys, we're here now. So when the second half came, if you think it couldn't get any worse, the second half came, and the stage manager came through and said, right, you guys are on. And there was like a front cloth. We were supposed to go on and do this thing. And then behind the front cloth, David was going to come through and sing the Baywatch thing. Right. And all the girls were going to be in bikinis and everything. And so we're out there going, this is gonna live with me for the rest of my life. So we get the a cappella thing together, and we're going, boys, we've just got to hold it together for like a minute and a half, right? Just do it nice and solid. And then there's like Knight Rider videos playing at the side screens. Just before we go on, his assistant comes up, shaking his head, going, boys, David wants you to wear these. And it was black sunglasses with a red light across the front, like Battlestar Galactica.
Woo! That's the Knight Rider.
So now we're all on stage, and we've all got these dopey fucking glasses on with like red lights going across it, going bum bum ba-dum 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 ba-ba-doo ba-ba-doo. And we're dying laughing. Yet another thing that's on YouTube, and you can hear there's a crazy.
Cut it in and put it in.
There's a crazy German fella. I'll have to try and find it. I'm sure I've got a link for it because it's just one of my favourite things. There's a crazy German fella, because obviously he's massive in Germany.
Right.
So half the audience was German.
Yeah.
So they'd all come across from Germany for this gig, and there's a guy filming it, and he's laughing so hard at us trying to do this thing, and we're pissing ourselves laughing, and you're thinking, this is the worst but the best gig I think we'll ever do in our lives.
Yeah.
So we have a lot to thank David Hasslehoff for, I'll tell you that much. And he's still a good mate now, so whenever I see him, which is rare, but if he comes through to Vegas, we'll always have a coffee or something. He's a really helpful to us. He was a really nice man, but Jesus, so random.
Dude, that's insane.
Some of the shit you do, you know.
Dude, yeah, it was, you talk about from doing shows for queens and presidents, and then you're doing something wacky. You know
Unbelievable.
What I mean? Dude, entertainment's the best. You know what I mean?
Well, you kind of go, listen, you know, I always kind of think sometimes, you know, I wish I'd gone to college or done something with my life.
Yeah.
But you kind of go, there's, you know, when the day comes when you take your last breath, my only ambition in the world, or in life, sorry, was to go, fuck it. I gave it all a try.
Yeah.
I had these amazing experiences. Hopefully people thought I was a decent guy, you know, but you did all this mad stuff, because it's funny when you hit, I'm 46 now, and I probably think of the last probably 6 years, probably since turning 40, you start to get in contact with people through Facebook and stuff that you went to school with.
Yeah.
And lots of them are just, their souls are dying.
Yeah.
because they're still at the same supermarket.
Well, dude, yeah, I got.
And they're doing the same thing. And listen, I have a lot of respect for anyone that provides their family, and if they're happy, God bless them. Right. And they look at me, and I'm sure your pals look at you going around the world and doing what we do for a living. And I think they must. I can see it in their. They're literally drained of life because they live for the 2 weeks a year that they get the holiday, where they go to the same resort. With the same kids and the same people, and I'm thinking I'm so lucky for all the things that this business can throw at you.
Right.
We are very lucky.
Well, I think about that fortunate, especially when you start working ships and traveling internationally, or just any travel for that matter. I know people that have not left our hometown. Yeah. Like I'm still really close to a lot of friends from high school. Yeah. In fact, me and a bunch of guys, we do a Bears trip, Bears Chicago Bear fans.
Right. Okay.
So every year we go catch one game. Right. So they fly in from everywhere, from Chicago. Great. But there's a lot of guys I see. We go back to Chicago a couple times. I have friends that have never left the Chicago area. Yeah. Like never, or they've left once and they've gone back. And I guess if they're happy, that's good. But a lot of times I see people that aren't that happy, and I think about how lucky I am that I've gone. Dude, every week is a completely different adventure. Yeah. Meeting people like you. Yeah. I just met you this week. You know what I mean? And meet some of the coolest people in the world.
And it's great because I always think life's so short that to say you've been on any form of a journey, it's a bit wanky, but you know what I mean. It's like but you've done something. Right. I think that's all I ever really wanted. Money's nice and success and all that kind of stuff is cool, but like I said, enjoy yourself. Be nice. Enjoy yourself. Yeah. Embrace where you are every single time. I mean, look at this. We're just sailing out of the Bahamas. Yeah. It's like, literally yesterday, before we did our show, we spent 4 or 5 hours lazing around at the beach and snorkeling. I mean, who does that before they go to work at Walmart? They don't. Yeah. So
No, I do that. I go like every time the island. I always get off. I spend 3 hours just jump in the water. But I think about I became really into being present probably right after I got divorced. Yeah. So I learned to be present because so many things are thrown at you that you don't plan. Yeah. You know what I mean in life. So that's one of the things I've just gotten used to. So your life is turned upside down. Yep. But it's always an adventure. It's always different. And I'm kind of lucky my kids are like that too. My kids love to travel. They love all of it, man. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I think it's great if you can pass that down to your kids. I've just me and my wife don't have kids, and it's probably through certainly not lack of trying, but just like life was weird for us because we moved to America when I was like 38. She would be about 35. We were moving for this big reason, so the last thing we needed was to have kids on the way, and we were just about thinking about. So now you get to like 46, and now you kind of go, I love kids. Like, so Dan, my bandmate, he has 2 beautiful kids. They come over to our house and they jump in the pool and I'm flinging them around. It's just brilliant to have the kids there. I absolutely adore kids. Yeah. But I don't know how I feel when they go home. I don't know because sometimes I get jealous and I go, that's wonderful. You got 2 kids. He's divorced too, so he's been through it, and he's a brilliant dad and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know kind of how I feel about going. If someone said if my wife said she was pregnant right now, would you be happy about it? And I go, yeah, I'd be really happy about it. But you're going to actively work towards that? I don't know, because we quite like we quite like it 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, sitting at home going, should we just go to the pub? And we'll have a game of snooker or we'll have a game of pool and some chicken wings and stuff. That's cool. I kind of like and we just randomly just say, should we just go through to Santa Monica for the weekend? Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, just take a trip. You don't have to think about it. So there's a selfish nature of it. But again, it goes back to the. But that's not even that selfish
living
stuff.
Free, but you should live free and like I said, we are here for a very, very short time. So many people now are bitching and moaning about which political party you're supposed to affiliate with, or you're supposed to like this person, and it's just. I mean, I think that whole. I think social media is the devil. So
it's the worst. Social media is terrible. It's really tough on kids. I don't know how you're raising a teen now.
Well, we have a niece. Our niece is what's she now? About 18, 19, and my wife and her are very close. She lives obviously back in the UK, and my wife comes off the messaging and she's going, I don't know how she does it, because it's so every picture is photoshopped. Yeah. They're telling you what to eat, what fad diet to be on. Yeah. And I know we had that as kids. We had if you don't have those kind of sneakers, then you're a,
Yeah,
then you're a poor boy.
Yeah.
You're ghetto.
Like I always wore the tracks instead of,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I was that guy, the Huffy pants or whatever they were.
Your mom shops at Walmart. It was like,
right.
But we all had that, that's part of growing up. But now it's so amplified, and I think the problem with social media is someone thought it would be a good idea to give everyone a voice, and I'm one of those people that thinks not everyone should have a voice.
Right.
Because the majority of people are morons.
Sure.
In the sense, in lots of ways. If I was going to ask someone about comedy, I'm not going to go and ask the captain of this ship. I'm going to ask you.
Right.
But I'm not going to ask you about the propulsion of the ship, am I?
Yeah, right.
And it's like, if you've got an expertise in a certain thing that you can talk on with authority, that's cool.
Right.
But now you've got plums on Twitter talking about this politician and that politician and this thing and that thing, and then they all get so into it, and then they want to, and they're so divided, and everyone's moaning and punching each other, and it's like Jesus Christ. And if you spend all of that energy, and like you said, you embraced where you lived, the things around you, the people around you, and just enjoyed yourself, you'd be a lot fucking happier.
You'd be way happier. Well, and it's really tough on these kids. I don't know how. I got friends that have kids that are teens. My kids are in their early 20s now, and even that's a lot. Where they're constantly, they're not as bad as some other kids, but there's a lot of bad stuff that can happen online now, man. And the negative, like in my last two specials, I talked about it a bunch.
Yeah.
Like it's not only that people have a voice, and I used to say that everybody thinks they're right. Everybody knows they're right.
Yeah.
No matter what they say, they're right about, and you know.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you're wrong, and they won't even listen to a different point of view.
But there's a great. I thought it was Ricky Gervais, I think it was, and he says this great thing, and it says,
I love Ricky Gervais.
It says you're entitled to your own opinion, but not your own fact.
Yeah.
And I thought, what a brilliant way of putting it, because that's it. Listen, everyone should have an opinion. I'm not suggesting you shouldn't, but facts are facts, and you can't just now we see it now in the US specifically with the presidential elections coming up. I have my own views on all of that kind of stuff, but facts is facts. There's not, but that's nonsense. No, it's not nonsense. It's a fact.
It's reality.
About this happened or that happened, and that's where it all gets convoluted. But listen, people are just idiots.
They are.
I swear to God.
No, you're right.
I literally, we go through, it's like getting on a plane. How many planes do we get on over a month? I mean, millions of them. Yeah. And you get on, and every single time, there's someone that sits in the wrong seat, and I'm like, for fuck's sake, what are we doing here?
Right.
It's on the ticket, look at the thing.
Confused. There's a whole
they're always in the wrong seat, and then there's always someone that stands up at the end and wants to rush to the front. And it's literally, and then it's just, there's always someone picking up the wrong bag at the baggage claim, and you're thinking it's literally these people's first day on earth.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
I love going through security and watching somebody go in and out the scanner 9 times. And they're like, keys? Yeah. Oh, my belt? Yeah. Oh, it's all right there in the sign, man. It's just, especially when you're flying TSA or pre-check or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys should know what's going on here.
It's just madness.
Yeah.
But like I said, and they're the people that you're giving a voice to. Yeah. And that's the problem. That is the problem.
Right. And the other problem is there's just like 100 people agreeing with them. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it's all the same. And it's like,
no, it's a big crowd of idiots. They're like, oh, God, you're all together.
Exactly.
Good for you, good.
100%. 100%. I mean, it's like, being on a ship, and we're very lucky that we get to work some amazing rooms on some amazing ships for some great companies and everything. But see, on like a sea day, I always think that I'd love to, if I wasn't working on ships, because I think they'd probably fire me, but if I wasn't working on ships, I'd love to rig like cameras and do like a kind of comedy commentary of people going up to the buffet on a sea day.
Right.
So when it's packed to the rafters, maybe the weather's a bit bad outside,
right.
And that whole room, and it's like everyone literally, the lady gives you the hand sanitizer on the way in.
Yeah.
It's like she gives you the hand sanitizer in exchange for like your common sense, which they put in a drawer and they give it to you after you've had your pizza. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And so they go in, and then people just turn. Walking with the food, they'll turn into you, or they'll lean across other people.
Right.
And I mean, I've got to tell you this: we went to do a ship. I won't tell you the name of the company because I definitely would get fired. But we went to do a ship. We went to do a ship actually, and they paid for us to go to China.
Okay.
To do a big opening of a ship, and the day I wasn't actually on the ship. In fairness, it was actually speaking about buffets and stuff, and we'd never been to China before. And I'm great at going, yeah, I'll go everywhere. Yeah. I'm cool, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I have some great Chinese mates, and they're like, oh, you should do this and do this. So we flew into, I don't know, Shanghai or something, and we stayed at this fabulous hotel. And part of the deal was we were getting on this ship in the morning to do this special show, and so we arrived in the afternoon, we're having a swim, it's all very lovely. So they said to us, there's a breakfast buffet, complimentary breakfast buffet in the restaurant. Oh, fantastic. So, right, boys, we'll get fed, and then we'll get the bus is going to pick us up, take us to the ship. Right. So this is how different people, I was like, this is horrendous. We go to the buffet. Half of the buffet is Eastern food, and half of the buffet is like a Western buffet. So as we're going down the buffet line, there's a guy in front of us, and there's a Chinese businessman, very well dressed, literally goes on. He gets his plate, he puts his hands in the scrambled egg, lifts it up and plops it on the plate, right? And then wipes his hand on the edge of the table like this.
Like just a handful of eggs?
Yeah. And then walked on like it was the most normal thing in the world. Now, one of the lads in our band is from Liverpool, and he's very, very, very blunt.
Okay.
So in the middle of Shanghai, he's going, "Oi, dirty bastard!" And I'm going, "Oh my god!" And the guy's going, "What's the problem with that? You're fucking disgusting." And he's like, "What?" But then the next thing you know, someone else, very well dressed businessman, fucking the same. Yeah. They're all doing the same thing. It's just like a fucking different cultural thing. We're all going, "Fucking avoid the eggs, lads! Avoid the eggs!"
Yeah, stay away from the eggs.
And we go down to the end of the buffet, and there's like cookies laid out. And there's cookies with like bite marks taken out of them and placed back. I'm like, get me the fuck out of here.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I'm like, so I've never been to China again.
Don't they have buffets in China?
I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Not.
They definitely don't have tongs.
I was going to say
they don't have tongs or spoons.
There's no spoon for the eggs.
But so that's what you're kind of dealing with. You're dealing with like, that to us is completely and utterly insane.
Right.
But to them it seemed like it was the most normal thing. So I don't know who's wrong. There's more of them than us. So maybe we're wrong for having, you know, but it's just that thing of on a ship buffet on a sea day is the most fascinating thing.
Right.
Because you're seeing people get annoyed with each other, bumping into each other, the people dropping stuff and then turning into each other with food, and like common sense just goes, like I said, it's in a little lockbox. I
love it. When somebody gets mad I always go to the grill section to get some steak.
Yeah.
But somebody will take the last piece and somebody will get pissed off. And you're like, they're making more. There's tons
don't worry.
of food back
there. Don't worry.
Yeah. There's more coming.
Yeah, it's a funny a ship is a funny place sometimes. Well, it's brilliant. I love it, but it's a funny. Sometimes there's certain little things, but the buffet is the perfect example of why, you know, not everyone should have the remote for the television.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? It's definitely the thing for that. But anyway.
There's people from different backgrounds and everything everywhere, so they got. But some of it, you're like, I don't know, man. The buffet. I love the little kids in the buffet that smell all the cookies and put them back.
Yeah.
You know, or touch all the food. You know?
Well, listen. At least they don't bite them and put them back.
Yeah, right. I can't believe that didn't happen.
It's like one.
That is gross.
Yeah.
What's the justification of
Honest
that?
to God,
I've
never seen out like it. I've never seen it. I mean, we've seen some weird, crazy things, but that was just like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's just part of the.
Yeah. And the fact they just shrugged it off like it was no big deal. Obviously, they do it all the time.
I was just like, I was like, nah, I'm never going there again. I experienced it. It was cool. People were nice. But I was like, nah.
I've never been over there. That's the one place I haven't been much. Is over there.
Yeah, it's. I find Asia really strange because it's so different.
Yeah.
Because you'd never see behaviour like that in Japan or Korea.
Yeah,
Never.
Right.
You know, and we used to tour a lot into the Philippines, and I love the Philippines. The people are the best. Everyone can sing. It's the weirdest thing in the world. Literally everybody can sing.
Dude, one of the things I used to do on one of the shifts I used to work on, this is a while ago, I don't know if they do it, but we would be in the crew bar,
right?
And after the crew, late when the crew bar, as the later the night went, they were bringing guitars and drums.
Oh,
and
yeah.
There was an outdoor deck and everybody could sing, from the Philippines and Indonesia and everybody. I'd be up till 5, 6 in the morning sitting back there drinking, just singing and hanging out.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how talented some of the stewards and the bartenders and the waiters
it's unbelievable. There'll be some definite talent. In fact, we were just talking about being on my mum's ship when you were on last month, month before. The production manager on there, Edsel's a great mate of mine, and we've worked together several times over the years, and we did kind of a similar show to what we're actually going to do tonight, which is like a condensed concert at the end of the thing, a bit of a goof around, get everyone singing and dancing.
Yeah.
And Edsel sings really well, and we just said, "Do you want to come do one of our songs with us?"
Yeah.
And I says, "We'll do all the harmonies behind you. You just sing the tune." He was like, "Great." So the minute we brought him out in the show, the place went crazy. We went, "We're going to bring our production manager out. He's the guy that makes all of this work and all the lifts and all the automation, the screens and everything. He's the boss." I said, "But what you don't know is you can do this." And he came out and I think he sang Summer of '69 and he brought the building in.
Oh no!
But it wasn't like, "Oh, we're giving him a chance." The guy can really sing.
He crushed it.
And we were like, "Yes, this is awesome." So yeah, but yeah, I find Asia. I love the Philippines, love Korea, love Japan. Not really spent a lot of time in Japan, but we worked quite a lot over that way. But yeah, it's just a very strange kind of thing, because then China's so different.
Right.
And I mean, but you know, there's a 1.5 billion people there, so
there's a lot of people there.
You know,
I always wanted to go there. I think my kids are taking me to Ireland next year.
Oh,
I'm part Irish, so I feel in early December we're going to go for a week or two.
Lovely. Take a jacket.
Oh yeah. But I've only been there a couple times on a ship. I've been to Dublin, I've been to Cork.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, Cork's amazing.
It was great. But
Cork's
I knew
amazing.
Dublin, I was only there for a day, and I was there long enough to realize that I needed like a week.
Yeah.
I need way more time.
Yeah. No, Ireland's great. Ireland and Scotland are pretty similar. It's just, you know, we've got bigger mountains and better whiskey. But other than that, it's just basically the same place as far as the way it looks, you know. But no, you'd love it. It's so... Cork's such an amazing place, because my mum's family are all from Limerick, so like kind of more into the centre, but it's an amazing place.
Yeah.
And they love the people from the US, and you know they can't do enough for you, you know.
They were great. They were amazing, dude. I thought walking around, they were so nice to me. I went into a pub first thing in the morning. I got to the ship early. Yeah. You know, went and got a pint, talked to some people. You know what I mean? And the food. Yeah. Dude, I'm a big food guy. Anywhere I go, I try whatever food is there.
Yeah.
Man, I could eat Irish, you know, bangers and mash.
Yeah.
But I had the best curry of my life in Dublin.
Right,
this chicken curry. I was like, oh my god, this is delicious.
We do it well over there. Britain and Ireland, like, we miss a good curry. Living in the US,
chips? Oh
you don't get a good curry in America.
No, you don't.
You know, we have a good friend of ours that makes one every now and then. And we always go around to his house. It's the best thing ever.
I wanted to learn to make that, because you get the Indian curry, which is different. You know what I mean? It's kind of a different flavor.
But obviously, like in Britain, especially in certain parts, but London, Birmingham, Manchester, you know, especially in Yorkshire, Leeds and Bradford, those places are literally have the hugest Indian, Bangladeshi, Pakistani communities, and they've been there for, oh my God, 60, 70 years.
Right.
Because that's what, you know, I know there's a big immigration issue now, but for years and years and years, the only immigrants that you would see coming to Britain were literally Indians and probably West Indians and probably people from the Caribbean, the old Windrush kind of thing. So places like Birmingham was literally, you were either from Birmingham, you were either West Indian, or you were probably Bangladeshi or Indian, Pakistani, that kind of thing. And then there's a whole culture that grew up with them. The beautiful food and the shops and the markets and stuff. It's amazing. Yeah. You know, so I mean, it's a little bit different now because the world's gone a bit crazy. But
well, we did. I grew up in Chicago, and obviously one thing I was always amazed when I went overseas, like Dublin and stuff. Yeah. Shit, there's old. You know what I mean? There's old stuff. In Chicago, it's old, but it's U.S. old. Which is that's But we have communities of Croatians and Polish and Russian. We're going. They have these markets and stores where I used to love to go. And then my ex-wife was Croatian.
Right. Okay.
And her whole family came from Croatia.
Right. Okay.
So they spoke. Her mom would speak. We would have dinner. Her mom and I would have coffee, and she would start talking Croatian. I don't know any of it. I would just be nodding. After a while, she goes, "I'm speaking Croatian, am I not?" I go, "Yeah, you are." And she would hit me with, "Why don't you tell me? You're kind of on a roll." But they make this amazing Croatian food. Oh my God, I loved it, man. It was great.
Nice part of the world as well.
Yeah,
Croatia's amazing.
I've only been to Zagreb. I've been to Zagreb for a wedding. That was it. I've never been to the Split. I've never been to the coast.
The last time, actually, we just came back from Croatia on my mum's ship when she was doing her last cruise.
Oh right, okay.
But the prior time to that, the only time we'd been to Croatia was before we went to Vegas. We used to have this contract with Harley Davidson, so we would play all the big Harley festivals in Europe, and they were always amazing. And you would play insane places like there's a place in Austria called Lake Farkasee.
You guys, that's a great concert.
And so what they used to do is they'd have like a week festival, Harley festival in Austria, and in a place called Lake Farkasee, which is right in the middle of the Alps, which is as insanely beautiful as you can probably imagine.
Yeah.
And in the middle of it, they have a stage all set up and bike rallies and custom bike this and bike that, and it's just amazing. Probably about 150,000 people, and then so probably 50,000 bikes come for it, and it's amazing. And every biker club from Europe comes there. So they used to do one in Austria. It's an amazing place, and then they used to alternate it with a place called Zadar, which you've probably been to on a ship, right?
No.
Which is up the coast no,
I haven't done a ton of stuff over there on the ship.
Okay.
Most of my stuff is Caribbean, Mexico.
Right, okay.
And Alaska.
So I think it's kind of like north in Croatia, but right on the ocean, right on the Adriatic. I think it's Adriatic.
Yeah, I should really
know. So they do the same thing, but in Zadar they set the stage up on the beach.
Yeah.
And it was insane, right? So we used to go, and we would always sort of support one of those bands like, I don't know, Asia. And
okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like kind of rock bands that maybe had 2 hits back in the day.
Yeah, like
So but it's always great, loads of tribute bands. So we'd always kind of be like second top of the bill, because our records used to do okay in Europe when we were the Tenors of Rock. So we kind of had a little following.
Okay.
So we'd do our thing, and then it would be like Hey See Dixie. I don't know if you know who Hey See Dixie are, but like they're huge in Europe, an amazing band. So the great thing about doing the Harley gigs was we had an outdoor area, VIP area, which was the best VIP I've ever been into, and it was like there was like a kind of chef there making fresh steaks. And when I say it was an open bar, it was an open bar.
Right.
And there was people just walking around with bottles of vodka and bottles of JD and just enjoying themselves. And it was so much fun. So we played for 2 nights. So the very first night we go and we do the show. And you may be playing for like 15,000 people. We do the show, we go to the VIP area, and we're having a few drinks. So Tim, who was our bass player back then, Tim decides he's going to start doing all sorts of like concocting shots and ridiculous stuff. So whatever happened, I wasn't really there for this bit. So he starts to get mindlessly drunk. So me and another lad have gone out to go and see the gig that's happening. So the next thing my phone goes, and it's our kind of manager saying like, we need to get Tim out of here because he's really enjoying the bar, you know. So anyway, we said, Tim, you need to go out, mate. And it was about a 10-minute walk to the hotel. And we said, listen, get yourself out here, Tim. We get him out of the door, and he said, no, I'm fine, boys. I'm gonna walk. I said, okay, no worries. Do you know where you're going? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just need some fresh air. So as he goes about 10 feet away from us. We all turn to go back into the VIP area. The next thing we hear this guy shouting in Croatian, and we've looked, and Tim has jumped on one of the golf buggies, which is one of the steward's golf buggies for the event. He's now in the golf buggy. Oh, no. He's now in the golf buggy doing like donuts and like around this fucking thing, and there's people in bikes like by the way. So the next thing you know, he kind of leans out of the side and he's driving the thing going woo, and as he goes, he literally turns around and he goes, fuck you motherfuckers. And as he does this, the next thing you know, he turns around and there's a police car there, and he hits right into the back of the police car.
Oh no.
He goes through the perspex. We all saw this in like half, like it literally slowed down in time.
Yeah, right.
He hit the perspex. He goes through the perspex of the golf screen, and flies over the top of the police car and lands on the bonnet of the police car.
That's like a scene from a movie.
Yeah, and we all kind of like, oh my god, and we literally ran across. We ran across, and as we got there, he's literally lying like on the bonnet like this. His nose is all busted and bits and pieces like that. And he goes, what time's breakfast? And the next thing you know, all you could hear were these irons getting put on him, and he was taken away. So they didn't get him out for the next day. So we had no bass player. So there was like an Irish band there, and we said to the guy, anyone can play bass? Because we all play instruments. I don't play bass. I could probably blag a little bit, but I don't play bass. None of us did. And we ended up grabbing one of the lads from another band, and he said, "I know all this stuff. You just talk me musically through it. It'll be fine." Kind of thing. So that was the only reason. And then later on that day, he gets out of the clink, and he'd been fined like €100 or something.
Yeah, right.
But he'd wrecked his fucking thing. So that was my last experience of Croatia after the more recent one. But no, I love it. I love it over there. It's fucking. But that's it. People have got to go there. Austria and Croatia and Montenegro. It's just the most amazing places.
You learn so much traveling. I went to Zagreb for a wedding once. I went out and got a haircut for the wedding. I didn't speak a lick of Croatian. But at the time, the Bulls were really big. The Bulls, Michael Jordan. But also Toni Kukoc, who was from Zagreb. He was from Croatia.
Right, okay.
He was the most famous Croatian basketball player, and the Bulls signed him, and he was on the Bulls for years.
Right, okay, got you.
So for the wedding, I go out to this little barber shop, and it's this older guy and this younger guy.
Yeah.
And I go, "Hey, I need a haircut." They don't speak any English. I don't speak any Croatian.
Yeah.
But I sat down, and we did. He did fingers to show me how long the hair would be. I did shots of Rocky with these guys. I hung for an hour and a half with these guys.
I love it.
Told them I was from Chicago. I had a Bulls shirt on. They go, "Hey, Toni Kukoc." I go, "Yeah, Toni Kukoc." And we hung out, and we just talked a little bit, communicated.
It's amazing how that can happen when you don't have a lick of each other's language.
Yeah.
But for some reason, you can just do it.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what it is.
And we enjoyed the afternoon. We had a great afternoon.
Yeah.
These guys were fantastic. We had a couple of drinks, shots, and a little espresso. Out the door, man. I was like, "See you, take it easy."
I love it, and that's what I was lucky because when I was younger, we just went traveling, and I was always traveling with my parents. I left to go and be on ships and like production shows when I was like 18.
Yeah.
All right, they don't look like the production shows now. It was literally me and I remember some random drunk Belgian singer and the worst magician you've ever seen in your life type of thing. But you're 18 and you're fancy free and you're out thrown out into the real world.
You worked on a ship, and then you probably did, right?
But it was only like 500. It was called the World Renaissance.
Okay.
And it was like 500 passengers out of Athens.
Oh wow! Okay.
But I ended out of Piraeus, but I used to end up, I did that contract and I stayed in Greece.
Right. Oh,
I just stayed. I met a kind of mentor of mine, another singer that was on the ship, an older guy, but just knew his thing, and he kind of helped me piece my show together and do this, don't do that. And I literally listened to him because he could sing in 5 languages, and all the women loved him. But he really helped,
Sure.
And it's kind of like what we were saying before about no one's ever heard of this guy.
Yeah.
But to me, he's one of the top 3 or 4 people in my entire life that has shaped me being who I am as a performer and stuff.
Yeah.
And no one knows who he is.
Right.
And I think that's a shame because he was so wonderfully talented.
Yeah,
great singer, really good looking, charming, literally spoke 5 languages, could sing in all the languages.
Yeah.
And his masterful nature of how to put a show together, where to drop every song, where to start, he literally taught me through so much stuff because my parents didn't know how to do that because they'd never travelled like that when they were coming up through the business. So, his name is George Dikeos, Yorgos Dikeos, and I'll always to this day, always thank him because he was one of the people that pulled me aside and said, "Do this, don't do that, put that there." And I wow.
Right.
And it's funny that not many people would even know he existed.
Right.
But if you went to see him do a show in any environment, you would be stood at the end going, "That's wonderful."
Right. Yeah.
That's sort of what we were alluding to earlier.
Well, that's exactly what I was talking about. Because there's a guy named Carl LeBeau or C.D. LeBeau. And he used to open. He passed away about 4 years ago.
Yes, I met him.
He lived in Vegas.
I met him. I didn't know him because I remember they did a big memorial to him in Vegas.
Yeah,
great comic. But he used to wear like a waistcoat and a little white t-shirt. Yeah, he was kind of like because I saw him with another friend.
Kind of like bald with a ponytail.
That's right. Yeah. And I actually saw him a few times at the Laugh Factory at the Tropicana.
He had a thing he was doing there at Midnights.
Yeah.
I used to play Brad's across the street, and I would go over there.
Yeah.
But the first time I saw Carl was years ago. He opened for Sam Kinison. He toured with Kinison.
Wow.
He was his best friend. But I saw Carl, and I go, "How does everybody not know who this guy is?"
Yeah.
I go, I laughed so hard. I'm like, this guy should be huge.
Yeah.
And for years, I knew him for years. And every comic knows who he is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have seen him, and anybody that's seen his show has been blown away by his show. I've never seen a comic work a crowd better than Carl.
Yeah.
He's where I got most of my crowd stuff is that I look at that now. You know
what
I mean?
Yeah.
It's inspiring. But a lot of people don't know who the guy was.
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, and it's more so as we were saying. He's up until his untimely kind of passing.
Yeah.
He had been in the business, and I mean, imagine opening for Sam Kinison.
Oh yeah.
I mean, holy
and
shit.
Plus, they were doing the auditorium shows. Those are concerts. You know, the Garden and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's another guy they were the Outlaws. Another guy, Jimmy Schubert, who's still around with us. He's a good friend of mine. I'm working with him in Vegas actually in October. But Carl took him under his wing and taught him everything he knew about working at a stadium and working at a club and working everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did years with. You know what I mean?
But it is. It's you know, there isn't a lot of fame to go around, in the sense of I just think that there are so many talent, like outrageously. There's good performers, there's good comics, there's good singers, there's good everything.
Right.
But there is a plethora of world class.
Yeah.
That we were just talking about my pal Ann Martinez that you had the honour of working with, right? And Ann's a big mate of me and my wife, and when this lassie opens her mouth, you're like, holy fucking shitballs. And I come from a family. My sister's one of the most talented people I know. She's the real talent of the family. She's like leading lady in all the musicals and all this kind of stuff.
She's the real talent in the family?
She's the talent.
It's a pretty talented family between you and your parents.
No, she's the talent.
Wow.
We're the black. We know what we're doing. We know how to do our thing.
Right.
She's just devastating.
Right.
And she's just actually opened up her brand new show now in London, in the UK. But like someone like Anne, and there's many more like him, you're just going, she's just devastating. And one great thing about Anne is she knows that she's good. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Right.
But she's one of the very few people that doesn't allow the show business ego to get to you.
Right.
She just does her thing. She goes home.
Yeah.
She has 2 or 3 little businesses that she does.
Right.
And she keeps her fingers in all the pies. She writes shows. She does this and does that.
She's a real professional.
No one even knows that she exists.
Right.
But you go in, and so that to me is a success.
Yeah.
She has a nice home. She has a great husband. Great businesses. She knocks it out the park. She does some of the best gigs in Vegas.
Yeah.
She does some of the most amazing ships around the world.
Yeah, and you're right. Off stage, she's real people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You had dinner with her, hang out. We had a lot. Like I said, we did the podcast. It was 2.5 hours for you. I'm like, oh, that went by fast.
Yeah, she's special, but she's just one of many.
Sure.
And you just go, that's like. But like I said, you don't grade success. I don't anyway. Grade success on money, because I know plenty of famous people that are shit.
Sure. Oh God, yeah. There's a ton of famous people that are just
just because they're famous doesn't necessarily. And they're bad singers. I know singers that have won Grammys that don't sing in tune.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, people would probably go, "Who are you to say that?" But I'm a musician. I have a good pitch.
Sure.
And I have the machines to, try putting. I don't know. Off the top of my head, like Alicia Keys. She's won Grammy after Grammy after Grammy, and I wish the lass all the success in the world. I don't dislike her. I like her music and all that kind of stuff. But there's moments where she doesn't sing in tune, and as a singer that's won Grammys, how can that happen?
Right.
But that's just a fact. So it's just people don't really know, and that's fine. That's cool.
It is fine.
Yeah.
And it's changed now too. It's like you take a look back at like Milli Vanilli and stuff that happened years ago.
I mean,
but the technology now is you could never know whether or not somebody is singing.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But between auto-tune and everything else, and forget the
100%.
recorded stuff.
Yeah.
And now most of it, a lot of stuff. There's a lot of tracks and stuff that people,
Yeah.
So
and if it's and if people are doing it and it works for them, then fantastic. I mean, a bit of, you go and see a Bruce Springsteen show, they've still probably got a lot of musical tracking going on, just to fatten the sound out.
Yeah.
But if you pay to see Springsteen, you want to see Springsteen, and make it sound like the record, and I go, cool, I'm fine with that.
Right.
I've got no problems with that. But it's just, I think there's a lot of people that don't necessarily deserve the positions that they're in.
Right.
And they doesn't make them any better than anyone else.
Right.
It just means that they get paid slightly more because someone at some point said that they were something, if you know what I mean.
Well, they become a money machine. You know what it is? Other people are making money off them.
Of course.
So if you're in a position and you're making money, they're going to keep you in that position.
Yeah.
Because they want you to stay. They want you to keep going out there. They want you. They make money. Look at Elvis, the way the back end of his life, who was used and abused by people around him.
Yeah, just keep shoveling. Just keep shoveling it out. Just keep going, son.
Just get him on stage.
Yeah,
get him on stage.
It's sort of a sad, but then it's like anything. I go back. I have a nice house.
Yeah.
My family don't want for anything. We get to travel the world.
Yeah.
I get to stand on stage and sing the songs that I love with my best friends in the world. And, you know, last night we had a drink after the show. You meet people, you're swapping some stories.
Yeah, it's a great.
I mean,
No, it's great, man.
It's a brilliant thing, you know.
Well, my moniker of success, or whatever you want to call it, has always been if you were found a way to make a living at something that you love to do, and you can support your family.
Yeah.
Those are the three main things. And then, obviously, I teach my kids the simple: do the right thing, do the best you can.
Sure.
Simple.
Yeah.
But that to me is success. That's what success is.
And that can mean anything to anybody. You know, we're in this privileged position where people applaud us.
Right.
And want you to take your photograph and
no, you're 100% right. You can be a mechanic, and you know what I mean.
If you love it and you're out there, then I think that's a brilliant thing. Listen, if you love stacking shelves at Walmart because you think I just do it and I want to be the best shelf stacker in the world because I'm just trying to feed my kids, I go, you're a rock star.
Right.
You're fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, but it's this idea that it has to be. Well, how many followers do you have on Instagram, or you know, how many people have checked out your YouTube page? And you're going, oh, fuck off.
Yeah, that's
like,
not
who cares?
Yeah,
come and see the show. You like the show? Don't like the show?
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
You know, but nowadays you've just got this thing where it's all about. People don't want to work hard anymore now to succeed in our business.
Well,
anyway.
look at it's almost the Andy Warhol effect times a million.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Now any kid can, and I always worry about constantly. I'm worried about this OnlyFans thing on these young girls that are getting on OnlyFans at 18, 19, 20. Because when they're 35, 40, 42, and they want to have a family, that shit's out there. You know what I mean? It
used to be having a tattoo. It was going to live with you forever.
Right.
But now it's OnlyFans. It really is that kind of ridiculous.
And it's bad. I mean, they're doing stuff online like, you know.
Yeah.
It's this version of this generation's version of porn, but it's amplified because anybody can see it online.
Yeah.
At least in porn in the day, you wouldn't find out till you accidentally stumbled across a video somewhere. And went, oh my God, is that Miss Sarah? You know,
yeah.
But now, I mean, it's these poor kids. But the problem is, here's the other thing I worry about that more than anything. These kids are making a lot of money. These kids are making at least, like, a really hot girl doing nasty things online is making $1 million a year, and eventually she's not going to be making $1 million a year.
Well, that's the thing, you know, like that thing. There's an old thing in our business that, especially, I know this because my uncle Bobby was a kind of famous TV host in the 70s.
Okay.
And he'll openly admit that he was a prick back then, and my dad says he was a prick back then as well.
Okay.
He's a lovely guy now, but
he
said he did like 13, 14 seasons of this very famous show on a Saturday night, primetime television. And he said, the first couple of years, you're very humble and you're going, wow, this is great. The money's going up. I've got the Mercedes. I've got the nice house with a swimming pool and blah, 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 blah. And then the contract goes up every year. And then they were doing probably 3 seasons a year, maybe 3 or 4 seasons a year. And he says, all of a sudden, it's like, I'm demanding this in the dressing room. And I'm demanding this, and I'm not going to work on a Friday because I golf on the Friday, and I'm not doing this, and blah 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 blah. And eventually, it got to a point where he was pissing everyone off because he was a big name. But then he goes in for the contract negotiation for season 15 or whatever it was, and they go, "Do you know what? We're going to cut the show." And he goes, "Oh, okay, but what else have you got for me then?" So, you know, and he's, you know, openly admits at the time, I was thinking that they were going to say, "Well, listen, we're gonna bring you in to host Wheel of Fortune or our version of The Price is Right or something like that," which is the natural progression.
Sure.
And he said, "Well, basically," he said, "because you'd basically been a prick all the time. All those executives and all those runners and producers and stuff that you'd worked with over the years, they all talk and they're going, nah, it's not worth it." He said, so all of a sudden, he went from 5 or 6 years of stardom money to none of it.
Nothing.
So all of a sudden, the big house now, the mortgage can't get paid, and the lease payment on the Mercedes can't get paid, and it's something that you see so much in our game that you get a little bit of success, and people think they'll always have that big TV money coming in or that big, you know. We have a good friend of ours who was in Glee, wonderful, and she said, but she'd done the hard yard. She did the Married with Children, she'd done the Roseannes, she'd done all of that stuff, the Golden Girls, all of that 80s TV stuff. She'd learned her craft. When she gets the big gig on Glee, she said, I was hardened, and I was at that point we're going, wow, what an opportunity. And she was probably in her 50s at the time, but she said, when I got that, she said, every penny that you earn I put into into investments and houses.
Yeah.
He said, because you realise, because I've been doing it for 30 years, even though no one knew who I was 30 years previously, but now everyone wants my photograph at the Emmys and all this kind of stuff. She said, I'm going to do the right things, and she did. Because you go, yes, we did, I don't know, 7 seasons of that show. But she said, you know, you're never guaranteed the 8th or the 9th. And she said, unless you're very, very lucky to have that golden handshake of being in like a general hospital or fucking Days of Our Lives or whatever the hell's. She said, sometimes it ends. She said, it will end. You know, and she said she used to tell all the kids on Glee, don't go mental. Yes, you're the front of, you know, the front of magazines, and you're the front of, you know, you don't wait for a table at the restaurant in LA. You know, I said, but that will end. Remember, you're not a legacy performer. You're not McCartney. You know, you're not Clint Eastwood. You know, you're someone that will come and go, and you might have a great career, but there'll be a period of time where everyone wants to kiss your ass and pay you a lot of money. But there'll come a point where the next person who they want to kiss their ass and pay a load of money to will replace you. So be prepared that you use your little 15 minutes to use the right way. It says, and so many of them don't, and hence why when you see them coming off the big show, you see them with drug addictions and taking their own lives and all tragic kind of stories.
Well, I'm always amazed when I see these guys online if somebody's broke or whatever, and you're like, how's that person broke? There's no, you know, doesn't make any sense. Bill. I knew someone that Billy Idol's girlfriend early on. I knew her really well. She's a good friend of mine. But Billy blasted through all his money in the first couple albums and learned the hard way. He was huge for a few years, and then suddenly he's broke. You know what I mean?
And it's easily done if you think it's always going to be there.
You got to be. I'm lucky now. The older I get back, if I'd have made any type of success in my 20s or 30s, I'd probably be dead by now.
Me too.
You know what I mean? For sure.
Yeah.
But you look back at all of it now. If anything happened, like I try to teach my kids constantly about saving money. You know what I mean? I'm like, always, guys, do this, that. You're right. You get a few good years, and you're naive to think it's going to last forever. Not everybody's Ted Danson and Tom Selleck. I don't know how these guys get 5 sitcoms. I mean, good for them. They're great at what they do. But dude, think about how lucky that is. You know, you're lucky to get on 1 sitcom ever and have a nice run. That's great. But if you've done 4, and you go, you know what I mean? That's crazy.
But like I said, it's just one of the best lessons I've ever. You know, you ever say to young performers, and just save your money. Because you're gonna go through, especially like even in musicals, like my kind of background. You're in the, you know, you'll be doing a musical, be the greatest thing since sliced bread, and if that show shuts on the Saturday night, the reality is, unless you're very lucky or you're fortuitous, you're going to wait 3 or 4 months at least before you have a shot at being in another show. So that 3 or 4 months, in London especially, you don't earn the money to have 3 or 4 months off. So you're back to
square one,
back to working in the pub, or you're waiting tables. And I said, so if you put and it screws with your head, especially as a youngster. And I remember I was terrible with money as a kid, and when I was younger, and I remember one of my other jobs was, when I wasn't in a show, was just like working backstage in theatres and building sets and stuff like this. And I remember when we did Sister Act with Whoopi Goldberg, and the show was super successful, and she was in the show. Patina Miller, who was the lead in the show, is now like, she's on a thing called Power, and she was in that Madam Secretary and stuff, and Patina's like literally careers just took off. So, but the show was really successful. But the show was at the London Palladium. The London Palladium Theatre is owned by Andrew Lloyd Webber. Andrew Lloyd Webber at the time had a TV show, a yearly TV show, to find, like a reality TV show, to find the lead in his next new musical. So he did this thing called Over the Rainbow. They were going to redo Wizard of Oz, and they were doing a reality TV show like American Idol to find Dorothy. And they did one for Sound of Music and blah, 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 blah. So because he wanted, I think it was Wizard of Oz, to go into the Palladium, because that's obviously the most famous theatre in the world. He went to the producers of Sister Act and said, we're gonna cancel the contract. We need you out in 3 months. So we were in this super successful show that everybody loved, and then they said, right, you're closing in 3 months.
Right.
So, in those 3 months, me being a dickhead, and like lots of other lads in my situation, and it's usually guys, because the girls are usually pretty good at this, but you start going, right, okay, well, I've got 12 weeks worth of money then. Okay. And then you think to yourself, so if I saved this much, I can have this much at the end. You're not even thinking about your tax bill.
Right.
That you've blown through that.
Yeah, right.
And then you start to go, right, okay, I've got 12 weeks worth of money, okay. But then you get like 8 weeks from the end, and you've still not saved any money because you're still living the life because you're in the show.
You're in the show,
So the last 4 weeks, you're panicking now, going, shit. Yeah. So I'm on my phone to me buddies and saying, listen, have you got some work for me? And they're going, yeah. We'll start you on the Monday, do the bits. Great. So at least I've got some money coming in. But I remember getting to the Saturday night, the last night, Whoopi Goldberg, Bettina, like, this set was huge. The Palladium was like 3,000 people. It was packed to the rafters. Emotional, fun show. Everyone's taking the final bows and everyone's shaking hands. Oh, it's been great working with you all. We were together for like 2 years on that show. And it was amazing. You come out the stage door and everyone wants to take your picture and sign the program and all that horse shit.
Right.
And then actually I think it wasn't even the Monday, it was the Sunday morning. We went out for a couple of drinks. I went home the next day. I put my steel toe cap boots on and went to the local theatre where I used to work. And of course it's now November in Britain. It's sleet and snow,
right.
And it's freezing
Grey
cold.
and shitty.
And you're getting onto the back of a wagon of 15 wagons to unload flight cases full of steel decking and all sorts of shit.
Right.
And you find yourself going, fucking hell, if I told any of these people that I was next to Whoopi Goldberg at the Palladium last night, you wouldn't fucking believe me.
No, we don't believe me.
And you know the best bit about it? The best lesson you ever learn? They wouldn't fucking care.
Yeah, right.
And they would all go, all right, superstar, get that fucking fly case pushed. But the great thing about it is, I always think about it now and think really fondly about it, because I go, yeah, there's people that would never have done that. And I was like, nah, I've got to earn a living, I've got to do my thing. And I don't really care whether people think I'm talented or not, or, you know, I really don't. As long as the check clears, I'm good.
Right.
You know, and in that situation, it brings you down to earth straight away. But I always thought, as I got a bit older, you're thinking, nah, I've got to start to smarten up a bit here.
Yeah.
Because it is a fragile game that we're all in.
Yeah.
You know, as we were saying about, sometimes you've got a year's worth of bookings with a certain cruise line or a certain comedy club chain, and all of a sudden it goes bust.
Right.
No one gives you the 200 grand that you're owed.
Yeah. Right.
You're just left out there, and all of a sudden you've got to then pay your rent and, you know, look after your kids and all that kind of stuff.
COVID was a huge wake-up call for all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, a month before COVID, I remember having a conversation with someone going, my job is bulletproof. I go, they're making ships all the time. Mm-hmm. There's always entertainment. There's always comics. Yeah. And suddenly, you know, 2 months later, everything's shut down.
Yeah. And, you know, you're always kind of dealing with one person. I hate the gatekeeper thing. There's always a gatekeeper.
Right.
You know. And you can go on and do a great job,
right.
But if someone in an office sometimes that doesn't maybe necessarily know your business, some do, of course.
Right.
There's some great bookers out there that know their stuff, but there are others that don't. And if they just take a dislike to you and they go, do you know what, we're not going to book them anymore.
Right.
And you go, well, what do we do now then? Because if that's a large chunk of your earnings, you go, shit. So I never liked that. So that's why kind of, to be honest, during the COVID thing, just prior to the COVID thing, we started to invest, and we're into crypto and all this kind of stuff. So to have something else that we do that can facilitate any issues that we may have.
Yeah, right, to cover.
You know, because my wife's in the business. She's a very funny lady, but it's fragile. We know what it's like.
No,
one day you've got a show, one day you don't.
Right. No,
you know?
it disappears, and then you're nobody. It's all gone. So you don't plan. You know, I didn't plan well financially when I was younger. Nah. One of the reasons I do all this YouTube stuff, I'm trying to monetize that. Sure. The podcast.
Yeah, I get it.
You know why? Because to get like residual money. Because most of the money I was making, I was making live on stage.
Yeah.
So you got to have something else coming in to balance that out.
100%.
And you get older and look back at the whole journey, and hopefully you learn that lesson. And I try to teach my kids that.
Yeah. I have a good friend. Do you know him? Are you familiar with Murray Sawchuk?
No.
Murray is a Vegas headliner. He's a kind of comedy magician. Murray's an expert, and Murray has just been kicked out of the Magic Circle because of certain videos that he's making where he kind of shows you how he's doing it. But he's like, listen, Penn and Teller have been doing that fucking shit for years.
Right.
But he, 5-6 years ago, he used to headline a lot at the Laugh Factory at the Tropicana.
Oh shit! I know. Is he white hair?
White hair, yeah,
okay, yeah.
Crazy, great guy, great
Harry
guy.
loved him. Yeah, he's
great, and a great act as well.
Right.
And a great act. But he said, you know, you got to realize. He said, like, there's, you know, he said that's all very well. He said, but the online thing is where it's at. Yeah. And I don't really like all of that. I can't be arsed. But I have a lot of respect for it. And he goes, no. He says, I go off and I have a like a crew of people, and we go off and do like skits around LA where I'll grab a gang member and I'll make his gun disappear, and then it's up his mate's arse or whatever the fuck he's gonna do.
Yeah,
and he says 5 million hits, boom.
Yeah.
And he said, and then that, you know, now he has a channel that he's channels probably I don't know 5 or 6 million people are subscribing to his channel because it's just. But he said, I just stay on it. He says it's the most important part of what I do now.
Right.
He said you do your shows to keep your routine sharp and your mind sharp. Yeah. But he said everything's just about those little skits.
Yeah,
well, getting them on. And
I had a special launch last week.
Yeah.
And I've spent the last 2 weeks cutting into 1 minute chunks. Yeah. And me and the label have been putting them up. It's your timing when these things go up. Yeah. Most of my time has been editing video, and then usually I tape my shows live. Yeah. And I pull a lot of crowd work out. That's where all the work is, man. You know, you're trying to get as much stuff out there. And to get the hits, 5 million hits, good viewers, good for him. It's to get to that mark is difficult.
Yeah. You know. But it's like, you know, and he always talks us through it, saying, no, he has a guy that does his algorithms that says, do it then, do it like this, make sure it's this length, make sure that word is in the title. And,
yeah.
And you're like, that's cool, you know.
So I'm still trying to. I got news for you. If I wasn't in the entertainment business, I wouldn't be on any of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. You just try to get followers, but you know, the more you do it, the more videos.
The more you get out there, and then
10 grand, 10,000.
Yeah,
pop now,
and that's where it's all about. Because at the end of the day, you know, the more and more people that see you do what you do, will affect. You know, where you work, how much you work for.
Well, that's the
all
other
those
thing.
things.
He's got 5 million followers now. He can use that power to book theaters. So, you know,
and he's now got a new show in Vegas that he's not even in.
Right. Oh, even better.
And it's called Murray's Misfits, and it's like a collection of weird, different magic acts. But like,
he's producing it.
Yes, he said I'm producing it, using his thing, and then they're doing little clips on his YouTube channel, and he's kind of looking after that. He's written all. But he's he said that's his income. He says my income's not the shows anymore.
Right.
He said because the shows are, you know, one day there's 1 million shows, and everyone tells me how amazing Vegas was prior to us getting there 8 years ago.
Right. Yeah, it's a different.
You know, and everyone goes, it's a different place, and we sort of caught a little bit of the good stuff prior to COVID, probably.
Yeah.
But you go, it's fragile, so you need to do something else. I always say that to any kids or anything. Look after your money.
Yeah.
Do something with your money. Buy a house, buy a flat, rent it out. Do something.
Yeah.
And understand that it's not going to last forever.
Well, it's another version of that gatekeeper reference you went to. The people between you and the business change, and they change what they do. Yeah. And then you got to adjust to stay in the business. Yeah. So like we have one comedy clubs. I would be a club where I worked it twice a year, selling this new booker, and they would be like, "Well, send me a tape." I'm like, I've been working at the club for 10 years.
Yeah.
Send you a tape. You know. Yeah. But then you're out, and he's got his own guys. Yeah. But now you got to adjust. Most of this, 90% of this business is adjusting. Yeah. What the market is.
Yeah,
asking.
And that's actually kind of the frustrating part of it all.
Right.
Is that if you could just do what you do and it all kept the same.
Yes.
But then would we like that? I don't know. We're probably not those kind of people. We're not those kind of people.
My ADD. I think ADD feeds into this.
Yeah, you know, it's like, you know, you kind of. I don't know.
Yeah. I know it's the unpredictability mixed with you're always on the border of failure.
Yes.
Somehow. Even though you know you won't. You know, even though you know you won't.
Sure.
But you've had tough crowds and weaker crowds or whatever. Yeah. But you're always on a border of failure. So I think there's a little bit of fear that's there underlying what we do. That feeds us to go out there every night and get on the phone and send out promo and you know. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah. And you know, and like you said, it's one thing that, you know, Taylor Swift doesn't have to do that, or you know, whoever, you know.
Well, she's got a machine around her now.
There's a machine of people that just say, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that. Because like I said, I'm like you, I have to do everything.
I would rather just do my show. No, I'm tired of doing it.
You know, we have a couple of like management people that kind of look after some stuff, but you're like, Jesus Christ almighty.
Yeah, I was going to hire a social media guy the other day. Yeah. And he told me, he's like, I'll be honest with you. He's like, you're doing all the right stuff.
Yeah.
He goes, do you want to pay me to do it? I go, and part of me is like, yeah, I'm tired of just killing my airport time.
Yeah.
We should wrap this up because you got to do a thing. And this just went longer. We're already after 6.
Oh, there we go. Gonna get showered and changed. Go and see some friends in the show.
Into the camera. Plug any socials, anything you want to plug, and we'll make sure they get plugged.
So, it's Jimmy Denning official on Instagram, but the band is Rebel, and on Instagram it is. I really should come prepared. Rebel Show Live on Instagram. Same on Facebook. Give us a follow. It's hilarity like off the charts.
Perfect. There you go. That's it. Jimmy, thank you, man.
Pleasure, mate. Great talking to you.
Cool. You're still watching? That's amazing. Nobody does that. Nobody, but you did. That means you want more. Pick one of these clips. Go for it. I dare you. Hey, also follow one of those social media thingies.